Empires are cool, they're powerful, they're seductive. Well, I say they're even more than seductive. I think they're downright sexy.
Yesterday, I put out a video that surprisingly, or I guess these days not so surprisingly, offended a few people. Now, if you ask me, the fact that these people got offended by this video says more about them than it does about me or anything I said in that video. Now, if you haven't watched it, you can go check it out. But just to give you a quick rundown, basically there's this weird, whacked out teacher in Australia that has now decided that she identifies as a cat. So she comes to school, she comes to class with cat ears on, sometimes cat makeup. She purrs and hisses at the students like a cat. When the students are sitting at their desk, taking notes, doing little worksheets, she's sitting at the front of the classroom, literally self-grooming herself, licking herself clean like a freaking cat. Really weird, whacked out stuff. Now, this was obviously enough to weird out the students. But a lot of these students, they're young, they're innocent. They don't realize that, hey, there's really like a whacked out, kinky aspect to what's going on here. Because, see, she would reward the students if they pretended to be a cat with her. If a student would come up and pretend to lick themselves and purr for her, she would give them lollipops and weird stuff like that. So parents eventually caught on. They realized very quickly there's nothing funny, quirky, or innocent about this. And they've been speaking out about it. And now it's made worldwide news. Well, I guess a couple of people got upset about that for whatever reason. Who cares? Whatever. But I remember after reading that story, I started thinking about my high school experience and how it was much different than whatever kids are experiencing these days. Don't get me wrong, I think there was always a certain level of like propaganda and certain stuff in the public school system, but I never dealt with, any teachers pushing their sexuality in the classroom. We never dealt with, teachers all of a sudden changing their genders or wanting to go by like weird pronouns. We definitely didn't have any cat people or dog people. And I had some good teachers and I had some bad teachers. But when I was thinking about this last night, I was like, even my worst teacher that I've ever had, it couldn't be as bad as dealing with a teacher that pretends to be a cat every day. Like, imagine the worst, maybe most annoying, mean teacher you ever had. That teacher is probably not as bad as having to deal with a teacher that pretends to be a cat. But as I was thinking, I was like, you know what? Things cannot get much worse than this, right? Well, every time I make the mistake these days, in today's day and age, every time I make the mistake of assuming that things can't get worse or things can't get crazier, guess what happens? I'll give you all a wild guess. Guess down below in the comments. What happens is things quickly get crazier or things quickly get worse. So as I was, researching this story about this cat teacher, thinking that it can't get much worse than this, I came across a story that is so much worse. It's so bad, in fact, that I don't know if I'm even going to be able to get this video through on this platform. Now, in the last one, we had, a teacher identifying as a cat. Creepy, It's creepy for various reasons. I don't even want to have to get into the full details. You should understand why that's creepy. But now we have a teacher right here in America that has been exposed that identifies as a vampire. So identifying as a cat was already crazy enough. I don't want to call it innocent because it's far from that. but it's a lot more innocent than identifying as a blood-sucking creature of the night, I guess you could say. And it's not like this teacher was a secret vampire in their spare time that no one knew about. This teacher is openly a vampire person on social media. And this teacher has done things that are so foul that, like I said, I'm not sure if I'll even be able to really talk about it here. I want you guys to understand at home that when I put out a video like this one that you're watching right now, it does not help me. It does not help my YouTube channel at all. It hurts my YouTube channel every time I talk about a story like this one. But these are the most important stories to cover, if you ask me. But it hurts me. It doesn't do me any favors at all. So when you guys show support by liking the video, that helps. When you guys show support by commenting, it helps. And even when you guys take it one step further, and some of you, you may send a Cash App or something like that, it goes a long way to helping, and I really appreciate it. Because like I said, when I cover stories like this, and you guys know I try to get into stories like this pretty often, at least a few times a week, it really hurts my channel. And literally, for some reason, YouTube will purge my subscribers. They'll stop putting my videos in the algorithm. You guys have been here with me through the struggle. You guys see what happens to my subscriber count every time I get into something like this. But anyways, I'm going to have to use some code words here. So follow along, people, and just get ready, because if you thought the cat teacher was bad, she ain't got nothing on this. All right, folks, here goes nothing. Vampire-obsessed Chomo, I hope you guys know what a Chomo is, allegedly SA'd 2 young girls in NYC school for years, even filming CP in classrooms. A left-wing, vampire-obsessed Chomo allegedly SA'd 2 young girls for years at a Harlem school, even filming CP in classrooms, according to a new disturbing lawsuit. Miles McNeil, age 26, an after-school program teacher whose online alter ego pushed communist propaganda and fetishized vampires, allegedly touched and photographed young students without clothes on. He had them assume awkward positions, and he showed them pictures of the privates of other kids while threatening them to stay silent. Staff and supervisors at PS 185 and its after-school program Beacon at 185 apparently ignored requirements that empty classrooms be locked and staffers not be alone with kids, enabling McNeil to engage in the heinous activities at the West 112th Street School for 3 years, court papers show. Administrators did nothing to stop what he was doing, even after McNeil was found by a PS 185 staffer alone in an empty classroom with a second grader straddling his lap. Oh my God. McNeil was suspended for 1 day, and the victim's father was told his child was at fault. McNeil was arrested on February 1st, 2024, and charged with SAing an 8-year-old girl. Police found 52 electronic devices in his possession during the arrest, according to court papers. McNeil pleaded not guilty to the charges, posted bail, and the case is pending. One of the victims is now... One of the victims is now contemplating unaliving themselves, and both of the 9-year-olds have been traumatized for life, their families say. And their terrified families now fear that the videos he made of the children will follow the kids for the rest of their lives, they said in a Manhattan federal court lawsuit filed on January 24th, which seeks unspecified damages. They perfectly well know that the person who was doing these things to the kids was taking them in rooms by himself almost every day. And their approval of this behavior is abominable and speaks to the lack of care and vigilance to protect vulnerable kids, the victim's lawyer said. McNeil, who lives in Yonkers, continues to advertise toddler childcare and other tutoring services on Tutor Extra. He appears infatuated with vampires, and his YouTube account features weird videos about the creepy creatures in a sexual manner, including one called Enter Carmilla, the first lesbian vampire. His victims and their families contend that McNeil was able to pull them from class with astonishing frequency. He would radio other staff members seeking coverage so that he would take the victims and others out of the class to do what he did with them. McNeil is believed to have had multiple victims. The kids and their families said in their legal complaint against the city, the Department of Education, and the nearby community center, which ran the after-school program. These activities were enabled by school staff and leaderships, the parents claim. One staffer, social emotional learning instructor Monica Vargas, who is related to McNeil by marriage, appeared to facilitate his depraved behavior, according to the lawsuit. In her role, Vargas would interrogate kids about particularly traumatic or emotional charged topics in their lives, such as the death of a family pet, and then relay the information to McNeil to facilitate in his activities, the families contended. She also once covered for him while he was alone with a victim whose mom had come to get her. When the child finally ran downstairs crying, Vargas allegedly told the girl's mom that it was wonderful she was engaging with her feelings. The mom emailed Beacon at 185 director Portia McNeil and PS 185 principal Andrea Woodhouse Spence, but they did not report the allegations to the DOE or the NYPD and did nothing to alert parents. The child's father began calling other families to tell them about the allegations. That's when the second victim was discovered, and her parents immediately called police, according to the lawsuit. They enabled this behavior, and they are, if not as responsible, then more responsible for what happened. Vargas and Portia McNeil could not be reached for comment. Lock them all up. Lock everyone lock all of their asses up. I'm going to try to be as nice as I can here. Every last one of these sick motherfuckers needs to be thrown in jail for the rest of their lives. Vargas, whoever she is, she's got to go. In case you didn't follow what was being said here, apparently this Vargas creature, I'm not going to call her a human or a woman, this creature, this freaking demon, was extracting emotional information out of these little 8 and 9-year-old kids. Vulnerable information out of them that she would then feed to this weird wannabe vampire, and he would use these emotional stories to kind of, brainwash them and get in their heads so he could touch them, take photos of them, and do God knows what. Lock every one of these motherfuckers up. Every freaking teacher in that school that ever caught wind of what was going on, lock them up. The principal, lock them up. All of them, lock them up. The Department of Education, shut it the fuck down. I am tired of this. Every goddamn day, I sit here and look at news stories, and every damn day, it never fucking fails. There's more stories like this one. These are the people who have access to your kids. It's not a one-off. It's not a rare situation. No, this is very common that sickos like this are in the public schools teaching your kid God knows what, doing God knows what to your kids. This is happening way too much. And I'm not going to pretend like it's not. Lock them all up. All of them. I would argue that much worse should be done to them. Much, much worse. But I can't really get into that right now, at least right here. After everything that you just heard me read for you all, that vampire freak is still out, a free man, walking amongst the mere mortals, walking amongst regular people, still offering tutor services, and no one's stopping him. No one's stopping him. He's on apps. He's around town in New York, still trying to tutor kids after being arrested for everything that I just read you. And it's much worse. I just couldn't get into the full details here. But just, I don't even want to say use your imaginations. Just understand that you don't even want to know some of the details when it comes to this story. I wish I didn't know. But these are the type of people that we just let right back out on the streets to continue to prey on other people. These are the type of people that weird, whacked out activists try to protect. The public school system, the people around this monster, they were all protecting him. Protecting him why? Probably because of identity politics. Probably because, it would be racist if you call this teacher out for doing this. We got to protect this guy. That's what's going on. People are trying to use their identities, their sexual identities, their racial identities, whatever, as shields and protection. And people are literally out here protecting people that are doing horrible things just because of how they look or identify. And they think that they're the heroes. There's people in this school that think they're doing the heroic thing. We got to protect this guy. No, you don't. All of them need to be locked up. All of them. I'm sorry. You got to understand, folks. It's every day. It's every day. This is what I do every day. I wake up and I look through news stories that I can cover for you all. And every day it's a story like this. And usually, I do my best to just, all right, I'm not even going to talk about that. But damn, man. How can we just keep allowing this stuff to happen? How can people continue to turn a blind eye? And I don't even think it's safe to say that people are turning a blind eye anymore. I don't think they're turning a blind eye. I think people see what's going on. I see it and you see it. Is everyone else just blind? No, they see this stuff. They don't care. They don't care because it doesn't fit their narratives. They don't care because the suspect doesn't match a certain description. They don't care because the suspect belongs to this political party and not that political party. At some point, something needs to be done to protect the kids in our school systems. And the Department of Education, along with local law enforcement, they were told about this guy. And even they didn't do anything. So I hope these people understand, and they probably don't, and they probably don't care. But one day I hope that they fully grasp the type of monsters that they're letting free and allowing to do stuff like this. And I hope that weight just weighs heavily on their shoulders when they hear about the victims whose lives have been changed or ruined forever. Little girls being filmed inside of public school classrooms. I'm just going to go ahead and end the video. There's no way. There's no way I could even just... Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.